Well, President Obama taking a shot at Fox News in a recent interview while describing his struggle to connect with conservatives. The New Yorker just published a long and glowing profile of the president, but did not include in the published version the president's remarks about conservative voters and Fox News. Here's what he says, quote, "The issue has been the inability of my message to penetrate the Republican base so that they feel persuaded that I'm not the caricature that you see on Fox News or Rush Limbaugh, but I'm somebody who is interested in solving problems and is pretty practical. And that, actually, a lot of the things that we've put in place worked better than people might think." Let's get some reaction from Judith Miller, a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter, author and Fox News contributor. Kirsten Powers is a columnist for USA Today and Fox News contributor as well. Kirsten, to you first. I guess Fox News and Rush Limbaugh are the only problems that lie between the president and convincing the country that he's doing everything right.
It's a pretty awesome power, isn't it? More powerful than the president of the United States and the leader of the free world. Look, I think the president really does seem to believe this, because this is not the first time he has said something like this. And he, I think, needs to understand how a lot of his rhetoric actually is what makes people feel that he doesn't really, they really can't relate to him. I think a lot of the way he talks about a lot of conservatives is not always in a way that seems like he's trying to bring them into the fold. And look, there's some really fundamental differences in philosophy and ideology that are going to naturally make conservatives not like President Obama, regardless of what's happening in the media.
Right, and compromise is the key to getting anything done in Washington. Judy, this is a president who so very often, it seems, has said it's my way or the highway. I mean, can he really blame all of that on Fox News and Rush Limbaugh?
Well, he can try, John. I mean, he's tried before. If anything, this is slightly less harsh than he's been in the past, because the old retro Obama was busy blaming Fox for everything and delegitimizing Fox as a network. Now he's saying, well, we're just creating a caricature of him, which is kind of bizarre. Look, I think the president's problem, and Kirsten's absolutely right, is the president. One, the conservatives and Republicans don't like him, in part because he's not very political. He doesn't reach out to them. He doesn't try and get to know them or listen to their points of view. And two, and here's, I think, what the president was trying to get to, the Republicans themselves are under enormous pressure because traditional or, mainstream Republicans are being challenged by the Tea Party conservatives. Now, if he's saying that Fox speaks to the Tea Party conservatives and therefore mainstream people won't deal with him, that's one thing, but that's not what he said. But this is an old theme for him. I'm kind of sorry he's going back to it.
Yeah, well, let me read another part of the quote, and it touches on what you were just saying, Judy. He says, "As long as there's that gap between perceptions of me within the average Republican primary voter and the reality, it's hard for folks like John Boehner to move too far in my direction." I guess, Kirsten, he's saying that we just don't understand him.
Well, I think all presidents feel misunderstood. That's not a new thing. And look, I have said before, I do think a lot of the problems in Washington are a result of Tea Party Republicans who are unwilling to compromise. And the president said also in the interview that, a lot of these people, they know that Obama lost in their districts by 25 points, and there's really no upside to working with him. And so I think, the sort of the extreme partisanship that's happening on both sides certainly does make it more difficult for the president to reach across the aisle, but that shouldn't prevent him from trying. I think you still have to make an effort. It's not enough to just throw up your hands and say, well, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, perhaps if the administration lived up to its promises, like promising to be the most transparent administration in history, they wouldn't have so many doubters. Jill Abramson, the executive editor of the New York Times, says this: the Obama administration has had 7 criminal leak investigations. That is more than twice the number of any previous administration in our history. It's on a scale never seen before. This is the most secretive White House that, at least as a journalist, I have ever dealt with. Now, she's with the New York Times, a paper that has traditionally liked this president pretty well. Judy, final thought?
Final thought is that this is a consensus now within the media. You have not only Nat Hentoff on the left, but Jill Abramson in the center, and even conservatives saying he talks about transparency, but he is enormously secretive. Even Bob Gates, in the memoir, which I'm now reading, complains about that in this administration.
Well, 9 days from today, our Bill O'Reilly is going to be interviewing the president on live television just ahead of the Super Bowl. That is going to be one to watch.
Yes.
Judy Miller, Kirsten Powers, thank you both.
Thank you.